Okay, so for my conspiracy theory, I'm doing that the government doesn't control the weather, and they don't, and mostly because people don't want to believe that natural disasters happen randomly, or even car crashes happen randomly, or just the weather in general. And the two main points that I found were airplanes and like satellite base in Alaska that's got the acronym HARP or HAARP. I'm gonna talk about the airplanes first right now. People think that they controlled the weather because they let off like almost what looks like a cloud behind them when they're flying by, but that's really just called contrails because the right mix of hot and cold air behind a plane create the contrails, and people think that that's the government putting something in the planes that is going to control the weather and do something in a certain area, like say a tsunami or an earthquake. But I mean, a tsunami happens because there's an earthquake in the ocean with uh, Earth's plates that collide and come up, and then they come together. One side shifts up, and then the water shifts that way, and it creates a tidal wave, and it just travels to land, and then it becomes a tsunami. Um, and then I'm going to talk about HARP. HARP is an acronym for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. And people think that those satellites that base controls say that they can manipulate the clouds in the earth and create rain, snow, um, tornadoes, and everything. But again, I mean, people don't want to believe that a tornado is just going to come through, just say the middle of the United States where it's Tornado Alley. I mean, that's named that for a reason because it's the way that the mountains shift through the United States with the Rocky Mountains, and then we have over on the west coast we have the Appalachian Mountains. And if you look, we got the Rocky Mountains like this, and then the Appalachian Mountains come down like this. Creates a funnel. So when you get the high and low pressure system that come together, and a better term for a tornado is that there's hot and cold air chasing each other around, and that creates a tornado or a cyclone. And it's going to want to dissipate. It's not going to want to live for long, so it's going to travel down, and it's going to travel down through the funnel into Tornado Alley. But people believe that this place is controlling the weather, and it's not. It's actually for is to test how the iosphere, which is the outermost layer of the Earth's atmosphere, how that affects radio communications and radio signals that go through. So all those satellites that are up in the Earth's atmosphere or just outside the Earth's atmosphere, and then that base, it was sending signals back and forth and around the world and around the United States to see how the iosphere was affecting the radio signals. But again, people think that that was a base that was controlled, that main base in Alaska that was controlling the weather, and it's not because nobody can control an earthquake to make a tsunami. Nobody can control hot and cold air chasing each other around to make a tornado, and nobody can control a blizzard out of nowhere or a pouring rain. What trying to think. Fuck's the word I'm looking for. When water comes out of nowhere. Not a tidal wave. Flash flood. Nobody can control a flash flood. I mean, it's not. So, baseline, the government does not control the weather.